Pahrump disappeared quickly as I continued on 160 until there was only the occasional sign on the side of the road, mostly advertising new houses or, in one case, guns. In fact, the only thing that distinguished this part of the desert from anything else around was the sight of billboards extending into the distance, occasional reminders of a scheming businessman. Driving into Las Vegas was largely the same. Advertisements for new housing subdivisions were plastered onto sound walls, announcing 3-story houses with included elevators. I pictured a father and his 3-year-old son standing awkwardly in their elevator car, and the father asking, "Going up?" Finally, one of these subdivisions revealed itself just over the top of a bland stucco wall, so unrelentingly uniform that I thought it must be some kind of bleak institution. Out of curiosity, I took a turn down one of the identical streets and felt like I had encountered the twilight zone of tract homes. I had seen neighborhoods like this, but never so literally did it seem as though I were encountering the same house over and over and over again, down a street that never curved and never ended. Monotony was only broken by a woman who was letting her 2 children out of the back of a gray SUV. I stuck my head out of the window and asked her if she knew how I could get to the Strip. She sighed, as if she'd answered the question 1,000,000 times, and gave me some street names. After a moment's hesitation, I asked how she liked living there. "Oh, you know," she said, glancing at her children. "It's safe and it's clean." I said it seemed pretty empty. "It is," she said. "There are supposedly more than 20,000 homes for sale in Vegas right now, and half of them are empty." After stopping for lunch in one of seemingly hundreds of nondescript shopping centers, I followed the woman's directions, winding through the sun and smog toward the Strip. But as I turned onto Las Vegas Boulevard South, it suddenly became dark, as if a show were beginning, and the tail end of the Strip beckoned from a distance as a collection of indistinct lights. I reacted with a mix of fascination and deep apprehension. Tourist areas had always made me uncomfortable, and I was about to enter a tourist maelstrom. Buildings grew in size exponentially as I approached, towering amongst monstrous nuclear versions of Coca-Cola bottles and glittering golden arches. I spent a good hour trying to find parking before I got out near the Venetian, a Vegas-style replica of Venice. 3 years ago, I went to the real Venice, so to be at the Venetian was extremely unnerving, as though Disney had decided to do a low-budget, hokey remake of Your Own Memories. The indoor canals, gondolas included, were an unearthly aqua color and smelled of chlorine. I had an uncomfortable dinner alone in a too bright, sherbet-colored Italian restaurant. The Strip, from a pedestrian point of view, was extremely disorienting, and I wound up unintentionally at the Mirage, where Cirque du Soleil was doing a Beatles tribute called Love. This consisted of people running about frantically on stage while a swirling mishmash of Beatles covers was projected onto it. Beatles songs were channeled through otherworldly gymnasts in inexplicable costumes. All of this, the lights, the desperate wandering, the disembodying effects, was exactly what all tourist maelstroms promise, a dream come true. The dream had come true in every last terrible way. Like an acid trip expensively realized, it existed in a place between the mundane of the real and the excess of the imagination, a place of metaphysical nausea. This was a place where the McDonald's logo came to life and looked ready to smash the cars beneath it with the legs of the M, where the Beatles were summoned from the dead, where the idea of an idea of an idea of Venice lived on in terrifying neon glory. This wasn't hyperreal, this was post-real, to which the too smooth, surreally lit surfaces of my hotel room could attest. I knocked myself out with some expensive drinks from the minibar, and fell asleep with the feeling that American culture had been chewed and rechewed by some glittering millennial cow, until it had become something as unfathomable as it was unfamiliar.